Hey guys, today I just wanted to talk about why I think Donald Trump will not win his re-election in 2020 and why I think Joe Biden will almost definitely win the 2020 presidential election. The only reason why I want to talk about this is because I think that I've been talking a lot about why I think that Joe Biden will almost definitely win the election without going into much detail as to why and how I think that will occur. So basically right now I'm filling the safe states for either candidate. I am considering Colorado, New Mexico, and Virginia as safe Democratic states. They've gone to Democrats in all recent elections. They were both won by Hillary Clinton. And, in states like Colorado, Biden leads by 18 points in the polls. So now I'm just going to fill in the safe Republican states, the Midwest, the Deep South, as well as South Carolina, Kentucky, West Virginia, and Indiana. And this puts Trump at 126. And then for the state of Maine, I will give Donald Trump the 2nd district, as well as Joe Biden. I will give him the at-large vote, as well as the 1st district of Maine. Now, the 2nd district of Nebraska, I'm not really sure, but I will just give it to Trump because, well, he won in 2016, so I'm just going to go off of that. Now, here we have the swing states for the election. Joe Biden currently leads in polling in every single one of these states except for the state of Texas. And if he were to win all of these, he would win over 370 electoral votes, I believe, giving him the largest Democratic victory in decades. And so I will give Joe Biden all of the states that Hillary Clinton won in 2016, Nevada and Minnesota, which she only won by 1.5%. Pretty surprising considering how strong of a Democratic state this was before, as well as the state of New Hampshire. She lost all of these other swing states in 2016. However, Arizona, Texas, not really considered as much of a swing state, including Georgia in 2016. However, in 2020, they definitely are. I will give Trump the state of Texas because this is the only state in which he's pulling ahead in. And, there is still a larger chance of Trump winning Texas than Biden winning Texas. Next is Iowa and Ohio. I know I've categorized these states as going to Joe Biden in my recent predictions. However, I think, just for the sake of this video, I will give them to Trump because they both went to Trump by pretty strong margins in 2016. Biden does have some pretty surprising leads in these two states. However, at the end, I'm really not sure I could see these two states going for either party. However, just for this video, I will give these states to Donald Trump. Now, just to look at how easy it is for Biden to win, all he has to win are these 3 Rust Belt states that Hillary Clinton lost by less than 1% in 2016, and that already puts him at 278. So this is how I think Donald Trump will lose, because if we look at the polling in these states, if we look at the polling in Wisconsin, he's down 8.1%, a state in which he won. If we take a look at the state of Michigan, he's down 9.7%, another state in which he won. If we take a look at the polling in there should be one for Pennsylvania, if we can find it. Yes, polling in Pennsylvania, he's down 7.5%. He is down even more in the state of Wisconsin than he is in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is Joe Biden's home state, so it's pretty surprising for me to see him only leading by 7 points compared to 8 points in Wisconsin and almost 10 points in Michigan. So basically, Trump did outperform the polls in all 3 of these states by around 2 to 3% in 2016. However, if the polls were to get it wrong again and Trump were to perform better than what polls said, he would still lose these states by over 5 points. So this is just how vulnerable Trump is at the moment. In Arizona, this is also very likely to go to Biden. It has been polling in favor of Joe Biden since early March. And it is, its lead is widening, I guess, by a little bit. However, it was larger here, 4.7. Now he's down to 3.1. Trump winning this one C-rated poll. However, I do not consider these to be too accurate. As you can see, if we put it up here, Biden leads in all of them. Now, so, if he were to win Arizona, he would get 289. And let's say he loses the state of Wisconsin and Arizona. Wisconsin is probably the most conservative out of the 3 Rust Belt states that Trump lost, as well as Arizona. So let's say he loses these 2 states. He's only 2 electoral votes away from winning the election, and he polls ahead in North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. So you can see in the state of Florida, he is up 6.3%. This is a state that Trump won by 1.2% in 2016, so pretty vulnerable. However, Florida is pretty much a toss-up state in every single election. It's always very, very close. So Biden's lead is pretty impressive in that state. This puts him at 297. And, if Trump were to win, all of these other ones, Biden will really only have to win one more state. So let's say he wins, his home state of Pennsylvania, he would win the election. So this is how, easy it is. I'm just showing you how easy it is for Vice President Biden to get the 270 electoral votes. There are multiple combinations. However, I think the most likely combination that he will have in his victory, I think he will win, all of these states. I truly do. Because I think that seeing the coronavirus continue to escalate, I don't think that is good for the president. I think we will have more and more waves in all parts of the country, especially the New York area, because of Trump's persistence to reopen. And I really do think that Biden will win at least 360 votes, if not electoral votes, if not the 373 shown here. Now, if we're going to look at popularity, I just want to compare Donald Trump to presidents of the past. So as you can see here, Donald Trump has a 55.7 disapproval rating and a 40.6 approval rating. Now, if we were to look at the midterms for 2018, see if I get it on the date, November 8th or 9th, I'm pretty sure. I will just, this is basically it. It's no real change. 52 to 41. This is basically the same numbers we saw on the generic ballot in 2018, as Democrats made considerable gains in the Senate, as well as taking back the House. Now, this is probably one of Trump's most unpopular. This is one of Trump's most unpopular periods in his entire presidency. As you can see, in 2017, he was the most unpopular with 57. He is quickly reaching that 57 point. However, I think this is going to go badly for the president. I think his approval will continue to drop and his disapproval will continue to rise. As you can see, Donald Trump is one of the only presidents, in history, basically. He basically is the only president in history. We're going to look at this closely later. To, basically be in the negative, be in the positive in terms of approval rating for less than a month. As you can see here, he was up here January 29th, he was up. And then February 3rd, he was more disapproved of. He was basically approved of, he had a net positive approval during his presidency for only around 10 days, which is not good for Donald Trump. However, he was not popular in 2016 either, and he did win the election. However, that was against a also even more unpopular Hillary Clinton, who had, years and years of baggage behind her. Now, I just want to compare Trump's numbers to some former president numbers. As you can see, if we compare his numbers to Obama, they are, almost the same. Obama about 5 points ahead, 8 points right now during his time in the presidency. They're pretty close right there. However, Barack Obama's approval rating did manage to go up in the last few weeks before the election, so he did win re-election against Mitt Romney. However, I do not see that occurring for Trump as coronavirus continues to spike all around the country. Now, I just want to look at George W. Bush. In his first term, he was relatively popular. He was not popular at his second term at all. He was in the negative by, I think... Actually, we can just see here if we take 8 years. He was down at 27% approval. If you look at net approval, he is all the way down there. He is at negative 40 or negative 30 at the end. But that is pretty bad for re-election. So it's a good thing for President Bush that he did not run for re-election. That he did run when he did. And so comparing Bush to Trump, Trump, has been lower than Bush basically the entire way through. Bush had that big jump after 9/11, and after, at this point, basically Bush's, his popularity was kind of in free fall, I guess. He went all the way down from 88 all the way to 45 here, as you can see, still higher than Donald Trump. And he did manage to get his approval up a little bit. And running against, John Kerry, not a very exciting candidate, he was able to win his re-election. However, it's not looking too good for Trump, especially if his disapproval is going to continue to rise. Now, I just want to compare it to Bill Clinton as well. Clinton won his re-election, and he had a much more popular. He was a much more popular president, in the high 50s to low 60s consistently. During the last few months before the election, he finished his first term with 60.8%. Compared to Trump at 40.9%, so that is a pretty large gap. Now, one thing I just want to point out about this is you can see how fluid other presidents' approval ratings have been. As you can see, Obama wasn't really as fluid, however, he did, his range was from, 61 to, 43. For Trump, it's basically been about, 37 to like 45. And you compare this to Bush, and he went all the way up to 88%, and he also went down to 30% in the future. So Donald Trump's approval rating really has stayed the same, pretty unpopular throughout his entire presidency. He has never been able to break over the 50% mark. And now I just want to compare his approval rating to a president that has not won re-election, this being George H.W. Bush. His approval rating was not good towards the end. I think he raised taxes, doing exactly what he promised he would not do. So yeah, he's, Trump's approval rating is better than Bush's, which is positive for the Trump campaign. However, I don't think it'll be enough, as, George W. Bush was, he lost by almost a landslide victory, in today's terms. He lost by around 360 electoral votes, basically Barack Obama's margin in 2008. So this was not good for Bush at all. He lost the election by a pretty large amount. And right before the election, his approval rating did go up by quite a bit. He went all the way up to 54.7%. However, I really don't think that's accurate. But it did improve at the end. And, I don't really see Trump's approval rating increasing near the end of his presidency. Now, I'm not going to look at any of these older ones. They get inconsistent. They're not as, as accurate. As you can see, there really wasn't much polling done during these times. However, I do want to look at one other president, Jimmy Carter. He also lost his re-election bid. He lost it, he lost to Ronald Reagan, who won with a landslide victory. And for Carter, his approval rating, I think, is the most, I think it's most comparable to Donald Trump's. However, Carter's, of course, went up and down much more. He actually went all the way up to 58%, just a year before Election Day. However, Trump right now, around then at day 1200, Trump and Carter almost the same. And Carter's continued to fall before the election, and I expect that to happen for Trump as well. So if Trump were to follow in Carter's footsteps, this would not be good for Trump and his re-election campaign. So yeah, I just wanted to take a look at all of this polling data that has been done for President Trump's popularity. I don't think it's looking too good for him. I think the main reasons in which he will lose the election by such a large margin, I think, will, at the end of the day, be coronavirus, the protests, and how divisive he has become. And yeah, basically just his bad handling of coronavirus, I think, will mainly be it. I think if, we're still not open, in November, at all, if things are just getting worse, like in all of Europe or Canada, I think, Americans will want a different president, and I think Election Day in 2020 will show that. So thank you for watching. If you liked it, please leave a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one.